Hey everyone, before we get started, let me share some exciting news. We all have questions on our jiu-jitsu journeys, and Thomas has started a new podcast to answer any you may have. Just drop him a question on Instagram, and he will try to answer it on Ask a Black Belt, available wherever you enjoy the Roll Radio. BJJ Fanatics is known for having the best instructional videos from the biggest names in jiu-jitsu, and available now is Gravity is Your Friend, Sit-Up Guard Sweeps. Master the art of utilizing gravity and weight distribution to effectively incorporate a series of sit-up guard sweeps into your arsenal by Thomas Rodzinski. That's right. Go to bjjfanatics.com to get your copy of Gravity is Your Friend, Sit-Up Guard Sweeps by our very own Thomas Rodzinski. Now, let's get to the takeaway.
Welcome to Roll Radio.
And we live.
Yes, here we go again. That's your thing. Now this is my, here we go again is my thing.
Here we go again.
Here we go again. So
was this mind-blowing episode or what?
yeah, we've had quite, not to toot our own horn or pat ourselves on the back, but we've had some legends on, and we just got done with another one. Mauricio Gomes, who, not only is he a legend, but he's the father of probably the greatest who's ever been on the mat.
He said something during the episode, which I think is completely 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
When I asked him, what is the one thing that happens when you're a father of Hadra Gracie, he said, you lose your name. You disappear. You no longer
Yes.
you don't no longer have a name.
Yeah.
You're Hadra's dad.
Yep.
And I think that is true. I think by name, Mauricio Gomes is not as known as his face, as his
Right.
as what he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Appearance wise.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people recognize him as Hadra's dad.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is something to it. I mean, he made a joke out of it, but I think
No, I'm sure. And
I think there's a lot of weight behind that.
yeah, I'm sure Tom Brady's dad is Tom Brady's dad now.
I don't even know
yeah.
Tom Brady's dad.
Right. It's just, I don't know if he's still with us or not. I don't mean to make light if he's not, but yeah, I think at some point when your offspring transcend what you've done or take it to just the level that, you
Beyond all the levels.
yeah, you lose your persona a little bit, but I think you're probably, if you're a decent human being, you're probably okay with that. It probably
One would
is
hope.
wonderful, and you're probably very happy about it too.
So we pivot in this episode of this takeaway as a let it go.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on letting it go?
Well, it came up a couple times during the episode, and it came up for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that letting things go is super important for your well-being. It's super important for your mental health, your physical health. At one of those points, he talked about what you need to do when you get older and you want to keep training. And he was like, let it go, just let it go. And I think that it helps you in your development, to be able to say, okay, maybe this, whatever it is, this isn't for me, or that perceived slight, I need to get over it. Oh man, you know what? I need to let go of my hatred of selfies, because you're taking one right now and it's driving me insane.
If you wanna see what selfie I just took, just go to my Instagram, okay? I just took a selfie of Gary.
Yeah. So we carry a lot of things with us in our lives, things that happened to us from our earliest memories up until right this moment. We carry things with us, and some of those things are not so good. And I think you need to let them go. You need to be able to get over them and process them and work your way through it. And if you're talking on the mats, we can talk about letting positions go, or letting certain movements go because of your age, your physicality, what have you. I think letting go is probably something that people need to do more of. On to you now. Go ahead. Did you let it go?
I don't remember who said this. I think it was Simon Sinek, but I'm sure if
He needs to start paying you royalties.
listen,
man.
I love Simon Sinek. I think phenomenal public speaker, but I love him. I listen to him a lot. I follow him on social media. He does a lot of cool stuff. But he said it once that we are like a bucket, and in order for us to acquire new things, and I mean in the information way, in order for us to receive new information, we have to remove old information. So there is a certain capacity. So there's a context to it, but there's a certain capacity that we have, right? So we have to let go of some things in order for us to receive new. And it was very interesting when I was listening to this. Was years ago. I remember that. But essentially what he was saying, that if we keep holding on to the old stuff forever, we are not using it anymore. We are essentially blocking ourselves from getting new information as life goes on, right?
Yeah.
And if we look at it from that perspective, that's something that Mauricio was talking about. It is not only the jiu-jitsu stuff, but also the life. We often hold on to things for very, very, very long time, and it weighs us down. It really pulls us down, really becomes a hindrance to a delight, to our lives, and really drags us down and holds us back from these new opportunities that we might create for ourselves or might be presented in front of us. And if I looked at this from jiu-jitsu perspective, it might be the same thing. It's like what Marcio was talking about. We have that triangle, we're squeezing for dear life, we're holding on to it for way too long, and we should have let it go a long time ago, transition to something else.
Working,
right. We could have transitioned to something else and benefited from it. But no, we were so hyper-focused on holding on and squeezing that now our partner pulled the head out and passed to the side, and now we're getting smashed. So it's always about give and take in my mind. We got to think about what are we willing to give up and let go in order for us to gain something new and take these new opportunities presented in front of us. You're smiling because I made a nice transition.
You did. And no, the reason I'm smiling is because my brain, much like yours, goes on different tangents while people are talking. And I was thinking, can I use a little bit of the Let It Go music in the beginning of this episode?
Let it go.
Don't sing. Your singing is worse than your dancing. But
we should have this as part of the no, because then we got to pay royalties.
Right. Yeah.
No,
we cannot. No, there's no way we could afford that
we
song.
could sing it.
I think at some point after you sing enough of it, you got to pay for that too. And boy, will the listeners have to pay. Yeah. So I totally agree with that. And whether you're on the mat or off, those things that you desperately cling to or can't get over, don't allow you to see the new things, the new opportunities that are coming your way. So how do you become willing and or able to let things go? Because some people don't have the capacity. Some people hold a grudge,
Yeah.
and they can't get over things. They can't let things go. They can't move on from a system that isn't really working for them to find something that does.
Yeah. This is the hard one. I think this is where.
Is it ego?
I don't. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. You know what? I find myself on the opposite side of the spectrum. I let go very fast. The moment is becoming counterproductive or useless in my life is gone. I remove things very quickly in a sense of if it's not benefiting me or what I'm trying to achieve, I remove it. And it's not good either. Like it is sometimes I remove things before there is a discussion. You know what I mean? Before there is the acknowledgement, and I do find myself sometimes in the positions where somebody wants to talk to me about something that happened literally just a few days ago. And I was like, why are we still talking about this? I'm already way past this. Like, 75 things happen after that. Like I'm already gone. but at the same time, it's one of the points that I'm working on to acknowledge that other people don't move on as fast as I do. And I actually find that the very fast moving on attitude is not always beneficial either, because I'm not processing everything. I'm just discarding it in a sense. Yeah. So it's one of the things that I've been working on personally. But I think we all different. We all process information differently. We have very different personalities. We find ourselves in different circumstances. We are just very different people, all of us, and being understanding of others and helping each other really is the main key here. How fast you move on, I think is going to determine the weight that it carries. But in my mind, at least, the longer you move on, heavier it gets.
You mean the longer you take to move on?
Right.
The heavier it gets?
Right. The longer you hold on to things, heavier it gets. There was this one video floating on social media. It just popped in my mind now. There's a teacher in front of a classroom, and he took a water bottle, and he was like, how much this water bottle weighs, and everybody's like 10 ounces, whatever, 16 ounces, blah, blah, blah. And he goes like, well, it seems like nothing, but if you put your arm out with the water bottle full and you hold it for a minute, it means nothing. Hold it for 5 minutes, maybe nothing, but you'll feel it. Hold it for an hour. Now it's getting heavier. Hold it for 3-4 hours. Now your arm is going to start hurting. And he kind of made the analogy of holding on to the old stuff. It's kind of in that sense. Longer you hold it, longer you take to let it go, heavier it's going to get, and more is going to drag us down.
Yeah.
And, even though I forgot about the video, just popped to my mind right now, it kind of made sense at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. It wears on you. I really like what you said earlier about how it stops you from receiving new information. Because I think it puts a wall up. I had this experience, and I'm not letting it go. I can't deal with it. And now there's a wall there for new experiences that might remind you of it, that might be similar to it, but you can learn from and benefit from. We've talked to a lot of people who have had, that don't want to do jujitsu because of the physical closeness, the actual physical touch, somebody being on top of you, somebody being that physically intimate with you. And it took them they had to get over something that happened to them in order to have that breakthrough and get on the mats and start jujitsu. And now, they can't see their life without it. Had they not, they never would have maybe even walked through the door, much less step on the mat, right, and try it. So those things that you don't deal with, or that you not even, some people hold on to it willingly. They I'm not going to let a person get close to me again. I'm not going to let A, B, or C happen to me again. And it really, it prevents so much new growth potential.
Well, I think the process really depends on the personal circumstances. We have to acknowledge the fact that some of these things to let go takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of processing, a lot of grieving, and so on, right? Some of these things are very, very heavy. And, excuse me, and, they take more effort than others.
Yeah.
But I think the main point that I think we both are trying to make is that longer we hold on to those things, more difficult is going to be for us to receive new opportunities in life. And I think that is the main key. So I don't want anybody to misunderstand. We shouldn't be letting go right away. We need to go through our process.
And I'm not saying either, there's people that are, just get over it. We're not saying that either. It's you have to process it and get through it, work through it, and come out on the other side of, whatever it is.
Let's pivot this into the jiu-jitsu, right? So I think what's important here is when we take this onto the mat is with letting things go. It's kind of two different avenues here. One is the motions themselves, the jiu-jitsu itself, right? So if we hold on to something for too long, we're missing opportunities that might be presented in front of us. But also there's this mental stimulation part of letting go, right? I had a bad day.
Yeah.
Right? I hurt myself. right? I suck. They are getting better than me. All of these things could be a huge weight on how our jiu-jitsu is progressing in the future.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to get back on the mat, especially in some of those scenarios.
Yeah.
Where it is critical to talk to your instructors, critical to talk to your friends, your family, your internal network, and figure these things out, because ultimately we all know that you love being on the mat. It's just there are obstacles. Marcio,
Well,
one of the things Marcio said at the end is jiu-jitsu is not easy. What?
No, I thought you were going to bring up Marcel Cruz again.
Marcio
no.
Cruz. Yeah, no. What did Marcio Cruz say?
Your biggest
Monday
obstacle
football?
Thursday night. Your biggest obstacle is Thursday night football, the couch, and beer.
Pizza,
more so than
beer,
beer,
and
yeah.
couch. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so those last two. What were the last two things you gave? 4 examples. Oh, I suck, and they're getting better than me.
Mm-hmm.
How do you ask yourself why,
Mm-hmm.
right? Why do I suck? Well, you're not here enough. You're not processing the information correctly.
I'm going to spin this the
You're
other
not-
way. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't suck.
No,
maybe
this
is a perception.
It's your perception.
Maybe
right?
this
It's
is a
your
perception
interpretation,
of.
yeah.
See, so this is
Yeah.
now we getting much deeper into all of this, right? So maybe you actually don't. Like there's this whole conversation about plateau, right? Which in my mind, plateau doesn't exist. Like it's a mental state of, where it's very difficult for us to see the progression. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what plateau is. Plateau is a reference of how we are improving.
Right.
Right. But if we don't see the improvement, then we call it plateau, which
Right.
in my mind, if you are on the mat, you're working, you are progressing.
Yeah,
you
just
might not
might
see it.
Right. You haven't
Right.
because you haven't had those. We always talk about jiu-jitsu is hard to measure, so you haven't had those measurable moments.
Right.
The being on top more than bottom, the passing more than getting passed, the submitting more than getting submitted. And then, that last thing that you talked about, they're passing me up, they're getting better, and I'm not. Reflect on it. Why? If it's true, well, then ask yourself why. They're younger, they're physically in better shape or physically more gifted, right? 2 different things. They're putting in more time. They process it better than you. So you got to figure out a new way to do things. And I think when you start doing that, then you're able to let go of those negative thoughts of I suck. I'm in a plateau, stuff like that.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate again on that last comment you made, or maybe they're just better than you.
Yeah.
There's that.
Well, that's when I look at somebody if you take 2 people and one's better at jiu-jitsu than the other, there are reasons. There are reasons they're better. And it could be anything from age to time, the time
I mean, you bring
that
up
they
good
spend
points.
working on the mat, whether or not they do anything off the mat, right? I don't remember who was talking about it, but it's like, you have a great day on the mat and then you go home and you ruin it all by what you eat and drink when you get home, right? You celebrate. I want to say it was Zanji, but I'm not sure. But, so you take your physicality and you go home and ruin it. All that effort you put in, right? You go home and ruin it, which makes it harder when you come back the next day to succeed.
Gracie diet for everybody.
No, I'm not. Well,
Papaya for breakfast.
papaya, yes.
With what was the thing?
Watermelon juice, papaya. He had the tapioca.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which sounds like a crepe to me. It's their version of a crepe. But yeah, so I think in order to let anything go, you have to analyze it. You have to process it. You have to ask why. Why did it happen? What can I do differently? Is it even my fault that it happened? Sometimes, things happen that were completely out of your control. So now you just got to deal with it. Right.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not being frivolous and saying just get over it. No, you have to deal with the situation at hand. You have to work through it. It takes work. It's hard. Depending on what happened, it could be extremely hard and take years to get over. But you have to put in the work or it's not going to get better and you're not going to be able to let it go.
And then you quit.
Right. And it's whatever. You quit relationships, you quit jiu-jitsu, you quit progressing in anything. Even as a human being, you can't take in that information, right? So you quit. So there you go. I don't want to leave it on a downer. So let's pick it up. What do we got to do? Process your information. Let those things go.
Let it go and show up. That's it.
There you go. Show up.
Get your butt on the mat. Go train. You love it. If you're not training today, you should right now. Whenever you listen to this episode, if you're not training tonight, you should. Go pick up your bag. Go train.
Head to the academy. All right. We done?
Later.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Raw Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.